Welcome back to another reading and correcting of The Used Child. With me, Tim Dar, Tiger Rights, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. Today, we are doing Chapter 17. Stop fidgeting, Tristan said, adjusting Alex's collar. This isn't going to work, Alex replied. He pulled on the jacket sleeve and looked around the alley. It will. He took Alex's hand and held it still. Humans pay more attention to the way things look than anything else. You look enough like the man you are pretending to be that even if she has met him, she will not notice. Alex didn't look reassured. It's unlikely he has been in this office recently. He handled personnel issues and you saw his file. It's been years since he's had a reprimand. Yeah, but won't they? The person working at this hour is a woman. Fine. Won't she wonder why Alex said himself before Tristan corrected him, am asking for a new ID? No, people lose things all the time. People, not humans? Alex asked, smiling. Aliens do not also lose things. Do you? Tristan held back a growl. He knew what Alex was doing. He'd used the tactic himself often enough. This isn't a bonding moment, Alex. You need to focus. No, go ahead. Do not act apologetic when you talk with her. You've worked for this company for years. Your record is as impeccable as such things can be. You are secure in your job and your position. Act embarrassed. Using your company identification is something recruits do, not a veteran like yourself. You have an hour to reach the office, full time. Arrive on the hour. That is when she will be looking to leave. You will have 10 minutes before a replacement arrives. He is being delayed. She will be distracted already by this, but engage her in conversation. Ask about her family. She has 2 daughters and a small animal they keep as a pet. Do not ask about the children's father. Once she has given you the identification, remain until a replacement arrives and offer to escort her home. She will refuse. Alex looked at him, stunned. Do you expect me to remember all that? Yes, Tristan replied flatly. Alex sighed. How the fuck do you act embarrassed? Tristan smiled. He'd expected that question. Just remember that time Jack felt you up in your apartment lift? He'd been remembering more of his time as Jack since Alex had entered his life. A small snippet of their life together. Alex looked momentarily confused, then blushed. Anger flashed into the human's eyes. God, bring him up again. Tristan ignored the anger. When you have the badge, land in the bar's lot. We won't need to use this vehicle again. By the time it's noticed, we will be off planet. Wait in it until I exit with the mark. But if you're done with him before I'm back? If you take more than 2.5 hours, it means you have been caught and I will proceed with my alternate plan. You haven't waited to get a meal out without me? I do. He had brought enough edible explosive to feed the mark, as well as have the people in the bar. After a demonstration, they'd do what he told them. Alex considered him. He looked at the bar beyond and shook his head. Tristan expected Alex had no problem imagining the body count. That would be left behind if he had to use that plan. Alex got back to the hover and headed out. The lighting and music was soft as Tristan entered. This was a place where professionals in their field came to relax after or before work, not a place of partying. The wide room had tables at which small groups of well-dressed humans enjoyed drinks and food. Couches lined the walls and people relaxed on them, alone or in pairs. He encountered 3 aliens, excuse me, the man said, snapping Tristan's head forward. He remained at the doorway to be noticed, but he hadn't seen anyone heading this way. You're kind of in the way. Tristan studied the man, and those green eyes studied him back. Something about him wasn't. Tristan couldn't work out what it was. His scent wasn't. I chuckled. I don't want to just push you aside. You look like you could give for a workout, but I do need to leave. I have work to do. Tristan stepped aside. The man had on a shirt and pants that matched those worn by the other professionals in the room. But the long coat he wore over it smelled of the heat and long encrusted sand. He looked over his shoulder once the man was behind him, and those green eyes looked at him up and down with an appreciative smile before the door closed and vanished from view. The exchange had attracted glances, not the unobstructed instants he had been aiming for, but everyone went back to their socializing. An alien here was noticeable, but the planet was important enough in the scheme of space gov. The corporation didn't, and the corporation they weren't talked about on the news each time one was seen. He did a circuit of the room, locating the mark seated by himself. The human was known here. He spoke with some people. Some of the people passing him laughed at something one of them said, but he didn't come here to socialize. He was waiting for his client to be done with whatever two rich men did. In this case, his client was entertaining women, many of them, more than he had expected. Tristan had seen to it. Tristan found the server he'd already contacted and flashed a credit chip to get her attention. A common gesture in the fall. Under the pretense of ordering a drink, he passed her the chip as well as the package of explosive, with instruction to add a small amount to the food of every human she served. She didn't know what this was about or for, but the amount on the chip ensured she wouldn't ask questions. She confirmed it. Tristan had already converted them from credit to barracks, local currency, to avoid confusion and complication. When she returned with his drink, water-colored to look like one of the popular alcoholic mixes, he did another circuit of the room before sitting on the couch next to his mark. The man glanced at him, then went back to bobbing his head to the music. A prolonged swallow of his drink and leaned back with a satisfied sigh. His Mark's drink didn't contain alcohol. He was too much of a professional to impair his senses when he might be needed at a moment's notice. Tristan was prepared for that. Excuse me, Tristan made himself sound younger, in the way humans sounded young, by raising the pitch of his voice. You work for Weber, right? The man raised an eyebrow and Tristan gestured the way he was dressed. The suit is pretty distinctive. It was black, slightly reflecting, but it could be hardened with a simple touch of the control of the sleeve's cuff, and able to stop up to medium blaster fire, but that wasn't commonly known. I do, the man said finally, his tone bordering on bored. Tristan nodded, sat back, and sipped his drink. He leaned forward his mark again. Any tips you can give me about getting a job with them? The man raised an eyebrow. He just shrugged. No one wants to hire a big domain for anything I'm actually qualified to do, so I figured I might as well get a job doing the one thing people think I'm good for. You've done that before? The man finished his drink and motioned for a refill. Tristan shook his head. You have any combat experience? The server who took his mark's drink was the one Tristan had already paid. She looked at him as she straightened and gave a slight nod. I know how to fight. That's what you mean, Tristan sipped his drink. Growing up one of the rare alien on Eftigan, I've been in my share of fights. The man shook his head. I'm not familiar with that one. Mining planet, pretty far from here. My parents were there because hard labor is about all people consider us good for. Motioning to himself, big, strong, and dumb. What's your name? Brian. Brian? Really? Yeah. My father felt I'd have more opportunities if I had a name that fitted in with most of the people in the universe. He never considered what kid would think. He never considered that kids would think I'm trying to pass myself off as a human. Yeah. The kids would think I'm trying to pass myself off as human. Most of the fights were about that. Bismarck offered his hand. I'm Aaron. I'm sorry about the trouble that it caused you, but he was probably right. I, for one, am more comfortable if I don't have to worry about mangling someone's exotic name, so you... Tristan stood as the server returned on his side of the small table. He took the glass and paid for it. He dropped the low-level intoxicant pill in it as he placed it on the table. His mark eyed him in the glass cautiously. I'm sorry, Tristan said, putting confusion in his voice. Have I done something wrong? My father raised me to always offer some form of payment in exchange for any help I receive. I haven't helped. How do you know I will? You haven't told me to leave you alone. Figure that means you plan to. The man smiled. Very observant. A useful skill in this job. Sipped his drink, then nodded to the one before Tristan. What are you drinking? Tristan shrugged. I don't know. I asked for something popular that wasn't too sweet. Most human drinks are much too sweet. Alcoholic? Tristan nodded. My first advice is to avoid drinking those around security people. Intoxication isn't a good look on someone looking to work for us. And never drink when you're active. Are you working? Can I leave you alone? I can leave you alone. The man smiled and checked his comment. My client's going to be a few more hours, so don't worry about it. And you can't leave until I've actually helped you. Said you know how to fight, but can you learn proper combat technique? Would you be willing to join one of the military forces for a few years? Yes, Kristen hesitated. Do they pay well? Miss Mark laughed. They barely cover the cost of living, but the training is invaluable. So combat experience is how I get hired? The man nodded and took a drink. So, most security companies don't want to have to train new recruits in that. There's too much other stuff you have to learn. I spent 15 years in the Parthoth army, other side of the planet. He said at Tristan's quizzical expression. I fought in 2 wars, had to get half my body replaced. Fortunately, the army did cover that. You break it, they pay for it. That's Parthosh's motto. Parthosh's motto. Would they replace part of me if I lost some in a fight? They should. How else will they keep you fighting for them? Don't worry about not being human. It's all DNA-based replication. Unless you're some exotic species that can recreate any part of you. Another drink. So, took another swallow. So, how set are you on working for Weber? They're the best, right? My father always said that I should never settle for second best, aim for the top. His Mark smiled. Smart man being sorry, you didn't mention your species. Took another sip, then raised a hand to order another drink. Somalian. He's a smart Somalian. You said the army could replace parts I'd lose, but would they hire an alien? The server returned with the drink, and Tristan paid for it again, dropping another pill and stronger this time. The man snorted. They're the army. They'll take anyone willing. The man launched into a story of his time with the army. Tristan made up stories of fights on the imaginary mining world he'd grown up on to participate in the conversation. And both laughed at the antics young men would get up to, regardless of species. Each time his Mark ordered a replacement drink, Tristan insisted on paying for it and dropped another pill, in gently increasing strength, so that 2 hours later, when Tristan suggested they should get some fresh air, his Mark was in no state to refuse, or even comment on how not drunk Tristan was. Standing took 5 minutes, and laughing each time he lost his balance, falling back on the couch. When he finally managed to stay vertical, he whooped and tipped forward. Tristan caught him and held on to him as they walked through the bar's crowd. Outside, the man pointed to his hover. Halfway there, Alex joined them. Hey, I didn't know you came here too, Mark called to Alex, and almost pulled Tristan down when he tripped, trying to turn toward him. This is, he whispered conspiratorially to Alex. What's your name again? I forgot, but I know I've seen you before. He indicated Tristan. He wants to work for us. He snickered like anyone to hire someone like him. Tristan looked at Tristan, eyebrow raised. If he expected the Somalian to take offense, he'd have to wait for a long time. Tristan didn't care what people thought of him, so long as it got the job done. There's my baby. The man ran a hand over the black cover. Wasn't she a beauty? It was a Feardoel GH21, one of the most popular models on the planet, which made it utterly undistinguishable from most of the others in the lot. Yeah. From the others in the lot. Tristan looked at took the Mark's hand, and pressed it on the door. It opened, and Tristan sat in behind the controls. You need to start it. I do. The man looked at the inside as if he'd never seen it before. This is a really nice hover. Yes, it is. Now you need to go pick up your client. You need to start the hover. Oh? Your client. He called. Remember? No, I don't. And I'm drunk. Why am I drunk? I can't drive a hover if I'm drunk. He leaned his head back. I'm going to sleep first. Tristan shook in. You have to start the hover first. Your friend here will pilot it while you sleep it off. That way no one will find out you got drunk. The Mark looked at Alex as if he'd been told what he'd been told was a revelation. Focus on the control, and it took 3 tries before the hover came to life. He had a pleased grin on his face when Tristan applied the hypodermic to his neck. Tristan pulled the unconscious man out of the hover, looked around to confirm no one was looking their way, and dropped him in the trunk. He had Alex grab their pack from the other hover, and then they were on their way to the academy. This concludes Chapter 17 of The Used Child. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter is going to be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read the book, as well as the other ones in the series, they are available on all major e-retailers. If you want to support me and get access to just about everything I've written, that's on my Patreon. And if you want to listen to me record these live, it's on my Twitch every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Rest of the week, I write. Links are in the notes. And I shall wish you a good day.